Hey folks, in this episode of the podcast, I get to sit down with Ian Stone of OWC. We're going to see what OWC has been up to lately. This is TWiP. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Frederick Van Johnson. Today, Ian Stone is on the hot seat. He's at a company called OWC. And if you have had anything to do with the Mac over the past, let's say, decade or so, you probably heard of OWC. They're a fixture in the community. They've been creating products since I've been a Mac user that help Mac users, and they solve a lot of problems. Like, for example, one of the problems that I had way back in the day was, you guys remember the old MacBook? Were they still called? No, I was thinking of a PowerBook. I think it was back in the PowerBook days. And Apple used to charge for hard drive upgrades, which they still do, different capacities. But OWC swung into the mix with an upgrade pricing and a whole little kit to let you upgrade your computer and everything for a percentage of what Apple was charging. So, of course, everybody went over there. The people that are scared to turn a Torx screwdriver, went to Apple, of course, but everybody else went to OWC and bought the kit, upgraded. And since then, I've been knowing Ian, of course, and I've known the company for a while and have purchased several products from them. What I wanted to do in this discussion is get Ian, he's from OWC, obviously. I wanted to get him on the hot seat and just kind of find out what OWC's been up to. What are they doing? What kind of products are they working on these days? Let's just get reacquainted with OWC. So, Ian Stone, welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Frederick. Thanks for having me.
No, it's good to have you, man. It's good to have you. It's a pleasure. We were talking before we started the interview, and I was telling you my little story about the MacBook Pro and, how that was kind of my introduction into OWC. Let's continue that discussion a little bit. I want to, well, after I have you kind of tell us what you do at OWC, I want to dive into that trajectory from way back when, sort of OWC of old, filling the need to the company as it stands today and what it's doing. Before we do that, just give us a sort of an introduction to Ian Stone and what you are doing over at OWC. What are the levers that Ian gets to pull in the company?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. That's a big question to answer, but yeah. So generally, my job is category manager. I'm in charge of product lifecycle management and marketing strategy, positioning, and so forth for the product lines that are under my purview. And there's 3 category managers that essentially make up the management of the whole product line across the company. The ones that fall under me are very creator focused in terms of being more on the capture, ingest, backup side of things. But generally, our company crosses the entire spectrum of the creative process, everything from capture to ingest and store. We call that sort of create, and additionally collaborate. And this is our higher end NAS products and things that allow both video and photo editors to work together in tandem to edit their photos, videos, and projects at a very high speed. Those are products like our Jupyter and Jellyfish product lines that are, we're really known for these products in the media production space. And, to your point about upgrades of Macs, this is our company history. This is where we come from. We come from helping people upgrade their Macs and providing solutions to creative professionals to give them more life on those electronics. And it ties back to our overall company ethos of wanting to save the environment, wanting to essentially care about the earth in the same way that we care about creators. And one of the nice things that our founder has done for the company over the years is made investments into clean energy production. So, for example, in the state of Illinois, we're one of the largest private producers of clean energy in the whole state. And that's
Wow.
just on our campus where we assemble a number of our products and have warehouses. So, that's one story that I love to share and sort of makes me proud to be part of the team here at OWC. But additionally, it ties back to our overall ethos of how we care deeply about creators. And we launched fairly recently, within the last couple of years, a memory card line that's designed for cameras, for camera creators, both photography and videography professionals, to be able to capture their content and provide a peace of mind and reliability that other companies might not be able to. And we do this by, again, it's caring about the creator and caring about the creative process. And that ties back to a whole lot of research development that we're doing with the major manufacturers of cameras, but also research and testing that we do in our own lab on an ongoing basis, not only when cards are released, but as time goes on, to make sure that those memory cards are compatible with the latest cameras, settings, codecs, and so forth.
Yeah, and speeds, right? Because that's the big thing
Speeds.
that photographers from okay, my raw files are getting huge now, and I need a certain speed card to accept that raw data that's being written. And then from a video standpoint, same thing, just exponentially higher. People that are recording 8K footage and all the things, it all comes down to storage. And it's interesting. I'm really excited to have this conversation because you look at the stuff that we deal with every day, whether it's podcasting or photography or video or whatever kind of media you're creating, and the bottom bedrock underlying level of all that is storage, and having a robust, reliable storage solution on the back end so that you can not have to worry about, like back in the old days, defragging your hard drive. Remember that? or just having it fail. And the thing that I wanted to there's a ton of things that I have on my list to talk to you about, but one of them is just sort of an overall state of the storage space right now. Because what was it, last year? I think Drobo kind of threw in the towel, and all people that were using Drobos, myself included, even having had worked at the company, was like, once that happened, I took my Drobos out of commission and put them in the garage, right? And replaced them with drives from you guys, basically. This is before you and I even started talking. I put your drives on my desk here. So one of the questions is, you look at what happened with Drobo, you look at what's happening with some of the other storage providers and manufacturers in the industry. What's happening? Like, is it like a cascading failure because of economic conditions, or was something triggered by COVID, or the price of things going up? Like, what is it? Like, what's the shakeup?
I think there's like a myriad of factors, some of which you've touched on. Generally speaking, though, and I can't speak to other manufacturers and what they, what they're doing. I can only speak to my own opinions and what I see in the marketplace. But one of the differences that I've noticed at OWC, even in the short amount of time I've been here at the company, is that we're very solutions driven. And we even have SKUs that we've sold to people that we've made them a SKU just to provide that solution to that one person, and that one specific use case needed a certain number of terabytes and a certain braid or a certain configuration. And, we've always, gone forward with the ethos of helping people solve those complex problems, be the solution provider in those workflow challenges. And so fast forward to where we are today, that still holds true. And that's one of the big reasons that we've launched this memory card line, the Atlas memory cards. It's because we care so deeply about that process, and we want to give people not only the peace of mind when they're capturing, but also the reliability and speed, so that as they're offloading that content with our readers and our cards, they're actually able to see benefits in their workflow by getting those images and videos off more quickly.
Mm-hmm. And looking, so I've got the cards up on the screen now, or some of the cards that you guys offer. So when I'm looking at these, like from a layperson's perspective, when you look at these cards on the screen, like how do you, like I see all these, there's hieroglyphics at the bottom of the card here. I assume that means more hieroglyphics is better, right? From a layperson's perspective. All right, can you demystify that? What is that?
Yeah, so we split our product line into two segments, basically the Atlas Pro and the Atlas Ultra. The Atlas Pro I refer to as a fast memory card, and the Atlas Ultra I refer to as an extremely fast memory card. Both are meant for high-end photography and videography use cases. We have extensive charts, so if you click through to each specific product family, we have charts where you can look up your camera and figure out what is the best card for my use case. Maybe I use a Z8 or a Z9, but I don't do any kind of video. I just do burst photography shooting, right? You'll be able to look up that camera on the list and see, oh, well, I can use this card just for photography, but if I'm doing videography, I might want to upgrade to the Ultra card, for example. Yeah. So we do a lot to make sure that this compatibility chart stays up to date. And like I said, not only do we do the R&D work with the manufacturers, but we've got our own imaging lab. We do extensive testing with every camera you can imagine, all the major ones that are available in today's market. We have sort of in a locker in our engineering lab. Wow. The other cool thing about the cards and the associated readers is we provide a free software so that you can not only see the health of your memory card and kind of monitor that over time, but you can upgrade your memory card. And, that was never a thing. Really, it was like until firmware for cameras started just changing so rapidly. Now, updating your camera's firmware is so important that if you're not keeping your card firmware up to date, you may start to encounter issues. I can't speak again for other manufacturers, but we do this to make sure that people don't have issues, and our failure rates are pretty much zero at this stage.
No, I want to talk about that failure rate, and I don't want to put you on the spot and talk about any competitive companies or anything like that. We all know who they are, right? I mentioned Drobo because I used to work there and I have them in the garage now on purpose. So if anybody needs a Drobo, let me know. Including the drives. It's all yours. You pay shipping. But how does the layperson that's just getting into this stuff know what to get? I mean, I can look at the chart and say, oh, I got a Nikon Z9 or a Z8 or a Z6 II or whatever, and I should get this card because I'm doing this kind of work. That makes sense. But what is unclear is the reliability and the, I use an industry term, the mean time between failure rate of these drives, which means on average, all things being equal, the mean time between failure rate for a particular piece of gear is X. And on these drives, especially like SD cards that are mobile and coming in and out of the camera and doing all the things, it tends to be a bit higher. What makes OWC drives different, superior, more robust than other drives that are sitting in Best Buy or on Amazon or B&H? Like what makes me want to go to OWC versus one of those guys?
Well, firstly, the cards themselves, they're ruggedized, so they're fully waterproof, they're bend proof or bend resistant. So they're basically a ruggedized version of an SD or a CFX card. Additionally, and I touched on this a little bit in terms of the work we do with the manufacturers and the engineering testing we do in our own lab. That all translates into these field firmware upgrades that we offer through our free software. And this will allow users not only to keep their cards upgraded, but it really just provides an extra level layer of peace of mind because they know it's been tested and fully vetted by not only our team, but the manufacturers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the drives themselves. So is OWC manufacturing the actual stuff that's inside of that ruggedized? So you're making it.
Yeah, we work.
There's OWC factories that people are with white clean suits on doing the good work for us?
Generally, yeah. I mean, we have partners that we use all around the world to help us with certain components of our supply chain. But we develop not only the hardware design, but also the firmware that goes into our products. And the firmware is really the key of it all. And that's, again, that firmware boils down to all the extensive testing that we do to provide the best possible speeds, but also the most efficient thermal management, power consumption, right? All of these things are really, really important for cameras today, especially if you look at high-end cameras like, red cinema cameras, for example.
Yeah. Black Magic. Yeah.
Yep. All those.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so much. There's a ton of stuff. And looking at the product line, and thank you. You sent me a couple of samples over to play with, Atlas Pro and Atlas Ultra. Until you told me that the Pro was the really fast version and the Ultra is the really, really fast version. I didn't know. I'm just looking at them thinking, okay, purple versus blue, 1 terabyte versus 512. Just sort of the layperson's look at it. Now that I understand that little bit, now I know that, okay, this card is going into my Nikon and this card is going into the Panasonic S1 that I use for video and all that. It makes sense. But all that all that points to, I think, and you're sitting in the middle of it, so you can recognize this and acknowledge it, or tell me if this is true or not. But the sentiment from the photographers, advanced amateurs and pro photographers that I speak to, is that there's still, even today, there's this cloud around what should I do. There's no like, oh, you're doing this, so okay, you need to be redundant. You need this. You need to buy these SD cards. You need to buy this reader. You need to buy this hard drive. Oh, you're going to be collaborating. You need this RAID system and these cables to put it all together because these cables ain't going to work for you. And the cloud solution to go above all of that. Like all this stuff lives in the cloud too. So in case something happens at your home, everything's in the cloud. Does a sort of ecosystem or just sort of tightly based recommendation even of all that stuff together exist? Is OWC moving towards that? Are you there? Like what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, we work very closely with a lot of creators to provide recommendations. People come to us and ask us, well, this is my workflow and this is what I need to do, and how can you help me solve this, or how can you help me do this faster or better? And we've come to the table with those solutions. I think that's part of the question. The other part that you asked around the memory cards and how do you choose and so forth, the ones you were mentioning and holding up, these are our brand new CF Express Type B cards, which were just launched last week, and we actually had some really nice things said about us from Petapixel. They called us the best compact flash express Type B memory card of the entire year. So we're pretty proud of that. And it's a testament to the engineering work that we do to build these cards, to how much we care about the creator and the creative process. And if you look at the cards and the packages and like the numbers that are on here, the 3650 read speed and the 3000 write speed, these are very realistic numbers. And we put our stuff through extremely rigorous testing. And we want to make sure that the numbers we put here, we're not putting these here to fluff this product and get someone to buy it and then experience, oh, well, that's only some super, super max performance that I'll never get. We wanted to provide performance that people can actually see and achieve in the real world. And we do this across all our products. If you look at, some of the portable drives, you mentioned portable SSDs and portable storage. It's so important for any creator. This one is our Envoy Electron. This is the smallest, fully IP67, so it's waterproof, drop-proof, crush-proof. Spoke with a creator this morning who was telling me how, they traveled with this and a number of our, slightly faster performing Envoy Pro FX drives. These go up to 4 terabyte, and this is a Thunderbolt speed. So this one goes up to 2,800 megabyte per second, whereas the one I was just showing, the Electron, this one goes up to about 1,000 megabyte per second. The difference and is a little bit in size and price. These are a little bit less expensive, but they only go up to 2 terabyte. But they share this common theme that they're both built up to this IP67, which is a sort of a manufacturing grade for saying it's waterproof, shockproof, dustproof, dropproof, all these great things that they're not important until they're important, right?
Right.
Well, I bought the cheaper drive because it just seemed like it'd be great, and it was until I dropped it.
Right.
Or
and
whatever,
then it's all over.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this creator I spoke with this morning was saying how they brought a few of these drives, a few of the Pro FXs on a trip to France, and coming back from France with, a dozen terabytes or so of amazing video footage. They didn't feel stressed with it being knocked around in the bottom of their bag in their carry-on and like, oh, is my footage safe? And they never felt any worry there. So that's exciting for us to give people that kind of that peace of mind.
Absolutely. And, I think this is kind of our inception moment right now, Ian, because this interview is being recorded directly to that drive, or a drive like the one that you held up, not that drive, but it is being recorded as we speak, is being recorded directly to that drive. So, and it works.
Great,
and
great.
It's interesting you say that, because that's I work off of a MacBook Pro, an M1, 16-inch MacBook Pro. That's where I do all my stuff. It's connected to an external display when I'm at home. But when I'm on the road, that drive is always with me. It's attached, literally, physically attached to the back of my MacBook Pro screen, and it stays connected all the time. And that's what I use as kind of my bulletproof work drive for everything. The bigger drive is what would stay home, right? That would stay here or on the workstation behind me, and that's where I do that sort of level of work on. But the little drive has been bulletproof. It's fast. It's fast, way more. It's faster than I could possibly need. Right? It does everything I needed to do, and it's robust for traveling. So
The other thing I'll say that we do to really make sure that we support creators in the creative process is we invest in software. We've built not only the Energize software that I mentioned, but other software to help creators. We've got a software called Copy that'll essentially ensure all the files you've copied over are there. It provides an MD5 checksum. The other, really nice thing that I wanted to share about this Energize software for these memory cards is we're the first card manufacturer to offer a generational upgrade through the software. So with these new cards that we just launched, these are the CFA, which is the Compact Flash Association CFA 4.0 spec cards. But our previous generation spec, the CFA 2.0 cards, which we launched earlier this year in essentially in a 1 and 2 terabyte format. I'm seeing if I have one around. Here's one. So this is our 1 terabyte card, which we launched this past June. And if you bought this anytime earlier this year, 1 terabyte was $579, 2 terabyte was $999. You can actually take the card you bought a couple months ago, put it into the Atlas reader, and upgrade it to the current CFA 4.0 spec. So you'll basically be doubling your read and write speeds. So On the label, it says 18. It's not focusing, right? There we go. 1850 read, 1700 write. So you go ahead and upgrade this card through the software, and you'll go to a 3650 read and a 3000 write. So really, we do these things because we care about creators, and we're like, oh, well, you just spent this money on this card. Why don't you just upgrade it to get the best current performance, because you can have the latest firmware with the latest, performance.
Right. Yeah. So just like your car or whatever, upgrade the firmware every now and then and get the latest and greatest features. And back to what you were saying about the speeds and being conservative, I think you were saying, versus being hyperbolic about the speed and what you state on these. I really appreciate that. I can't overstate that, because I'm kind of in that world now with my EV, my electric car, that when I bought it had a stated range that was, turns out, in ideal conditions with zero drag, being pushed by and pulled by a horse, and then you might get this range, but really it's probably about 50 miles less than that, right? And I would have appreciated that honesty at the outset versus finding out later. You want to surprise and delight versus surprise and disappoint. And it sounds like you guys are on the other side of it. Let's surprise and delight them with our conservative, kind of estimates of the performance of these drives. So great work. I love that.
Yeah, we want to deliver what we say we're going to deliver, and we know how critical these workflows are for people, and so making sure that we're providing the tools and solutions that solve and improve, make those workflows more efficient. That's the name of the game for us.
Can you speaking of that workflow, I want to talk about target audiences. Like, who is the OWC target customer? Is it me? I consider myself an advanced amateur, because I'm not a professional photography. I don't put food on the table with photography, but I'm photography adjacent, I guess. And I know my way around tech and all that stuff. So I'm an advanced amateur, but there are people that are just getting into this stuff, and there are people that, they are celebrities and they shoot names that we know every day, and they rely on their cards, because failure is not an option when you only got 3 minutes with a celeb to take a picture of them, right? So who do you guys target? Like, who is your target audience? Is it the beginners and advanced amateurs, or is it that established pro that is, living the dream out there?
I mean, I think it's both, but generally speaking, we build products for creative professionals. Yeah. We are a professional brand, and whether it's a prosumer or an actual professional camera user, we have cards for both of those groups of people. Now, do we have the cheap SD card that you're going to find on a peg at Best Buy for your point and shoot, underwater point and shoot camera that you're going to take on your cruise to Miami, or from Miami or whatever? No, that's not us. It's and could our cards work? Absolutely, but we're not the low cost, low performance option. We are a little bit more focused on, real content creators, but that can be, a very loose term nowadays, right? And like a content creator, that can encompass folks like the wedding photographers that you and I have known and worked with for many years, right? Yes, but then it's also the TikTok users who really wanted to up-level their game because they now have this audience, and suddenly they find themselves owning a Komodo X and having to figure out not only how to work the camera, but how do you deal with these terabyte-sized files that are, for 10 minutes of footage or whatever, right? And so dealing with that, dealing with the editing, dealing with the workflow, this is a whole new world, right, for people. Yep. And
Yeah.
so what we pride ourselves on is we're OWC, and what that stands for is other world computing. And what that ties to, it ties to this concept of capture your other world. And for everyone, that other world that they're capturing, it could be totally different. It could be, some creator taking, photos and videos of epic mountains in Yosemite. It could be, a creator doing reviews and stories about, anime, or all the little sort of figurines and robot
Mm-hmm.
things that are big now, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the thing is being shot, whether it's the mountains, the anime stuff, the Comic-Con stuff, the weddings, right? All of it counts. And we're there as a brand to be not only on the capture side with cameras, but also on the workflow side with hard drives, SSDs, RAID systems, right, to ensure people's work can not only thrive now, but live on into the future.
Yeah. I want to just a couple more questions, and we'll wrap this up. And this one of
Yeah.
the questions is, you were holding up the little SSD drive that I was saying that I use on the back of my MacBook Pro, and this is the similar build to this guy, which is Can we get a focus on this? There we go. Somewhere it's
That's a
going to
card
focus.
reader, right?
Yeah, this is the card reader. This is the Atlas FXR card reader. So I'm wondering, speed wise and performance, this is probably a pedestrian question for you, but speed wise and performance of this with a 2 terabyte CF card in it, this high performance memory card in this guy,
Yeah.
compared to the solid state, bulletproof drive that you were holding up. Should a creator get this and a bunch of these cards so that they have the flexibility of swapping them out, or should they get just the fixed drive? And is there a performance difference? Is there a quick answer to
So
that,
that's
or am I
Yeah, so you're kind of talking about two different things. So
okay?
this is an SSD with built-in storage. So it
Right.
comes
Yeah.
in
Which is what I
up to
use. Yeah. So I'm
it comes
wondering,
in up
with
to
an SSD, like the SSD with built-in storage, can't open it. It's got only I/O on it is a USB-C port on it that I plug my cable in, my drive, I'm good to go. It mounts. This one, USB-C port also, I can plug it in, but then I can plug in removable storage into it
That's not
in
an
case of.
yeah, but that's just a card reader. It's not an
Mhm.
SSD.
Right, right. But if I plug this guy into it, it becomes storage, right? So we got
Right.
the reader,
Yes.
and then we plug the storage
So
into it. My question is, to have the flexibility to, okay, no, I'm done video editing. Let me stick in my photo editing drive and keep going. Is that viable, or am I
Yep.
losing performance if I do that? Is it better to use the dedicated closed solid state drive, or is it better to use this to have the flexibility? Well, this and a bunch of these cards to have the flexibility. Is there a trade-off there, or does it matter?
I mean, you're going to be limited by the bandwidth of your host device.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends
Yeah, in
on
either case.
it depends on what yeah, it depends on what you're plugging it into. That's the real question.
Mm-hmm.
But could you do it? Yeah. I mean, we've even seen people testing with the new iPhone, which is USB-C, taking that reader that you just had in your hand, putting a memory card on the bottom of it, and you could record your ProRes footage from your iPhone directly to that memory card. Now, would that be the most cost-effective solution if you can buy a terabyte for $579 from us and a card reader, for $99? Okay, $679 versus, well, you could just buy this for under $200. You just got a 2
Yeah,
terabyte one of
you're
these.
good to go.
So
You're good to go.
is
Yeah.
it possible? Yeah. But I wouldn't necessarily use it as portable storage as a first priority. I would use it for cameras as a first priority.
Got it. Yeah, man, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah, and the thing that I learned, which I'm sure you guys know this already, but with the iPhone 15, of course they come with a USB-C port on them. Hallelujah. But with that, there are different speeds, different for different models of the phone. For example, you're only going to get this, like I would say, OWC level speeds on the Pro version of the 15. If you just get a regular 15 with a USB-C port, you're going to get slower speeds that aren't designed for high-speed video capture and all that. So
Right.
let's keep that in
Right.
mind. If you haven't bought your 15 yet and you're planning on doing a lot of video or a lot of I/O on it, you want to get the Pro version of the phone and not just the regular iPhone 15, because you will be disappointed when you start transferring files back and forth. And you answered my question, Ian, because that's what I was gonna ask. So the use case that I'm kind of playing with in the back of my mind is, man, could I take this guy or two of these, or take this, put it on the back of my MacBook Pro, cable it in, and then swap out that drive between the MacBook Pro and my iPad, which has a USB-C on it, and maybe put another one in my bag, for the iPad, and just kind of have that level of flexibility between the devices. That's holy grail stuff right there,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. That would work.
Cool. Amazing. All right. A couple more questions and I'll let you go. I know you got a hard stop. We talked about target audience. Can you just briefly, we talked about this offline a little bit, but the OWC, ethos of capture or capture, create, and then collaborate, and share. And you guys have different product lines for each one of those things, like capture, like you're saying, stick the card in the camera, go capture, create.
Yep.
Well, take me through that. Like, who do you see in each one of those slots, and just walk me down that path.
Yeah. So, it's really all different creators that are either singular parts of the process, or some creators, it's all of the parts of the process. It just depends on the creator. But yeah, the memory cards, the Atlas cards and Atlas readers, these are on the capture side. The create is more in line with our storage products. So for being able to ingest your content from those memory cards and readers, put it somewhere, right? You need to put it onto either a portable SSD, a desktop SSD, a hard drive of some sort, and we have all of those different solutions. You need to be able to edit that. We've got various products for that. We've got a Jellyfish Nomad. We've got the Jupyter systems, all for collaboration and moving into that final stage of the workflow, the collaborate and share.
Yep. So good. So let's wrap up with kind of a future facing perspective on OWC and what the company, what's the goal? Obviously we talked about, storage and the whole ecosystem and all that, but looking forward a couple of years, as we record this, it's 2023, October, looking forward a year, couple of years from now, to the extent that you can share. I know a lot of stuff's proprietary or, still under wraps, but where do you see from a high level, the company product line? What's the vector? Where are you guys pointing?
Yeah, so we're pointing in the same direction that we're pointing today, which is onwards and upwards, and it's really to help to continue helping creators by providing real world solutions that creators care about, and to help make their process better and more efficient. And it starts with the memory cards, but that applies through our entire product line. It goes from the memory cards to the readers, to the portable SSDs and so forth for backup and ingest, and then to our collaboration products, NAS, media production and storage products.
Yeah, I love it. Any final words, Ian, for the audience before we end this? Like, what's the last word on storage?
Yeah, I think it's not always the most fun topic, but it's a very important topic. It's something that we take very seriously. It's something that we really want everyone to know, not only that our products are fast and well performing, but that we really care about creators. And what I'm trying to do now is start to work with some of the stuff you're showing right now. Start to work with pros in the industry who are using our products. Some of which have used them for many years, not just the hard drives, but other storage products and collaboration products. I mean, we have really great cables. Cables are boring, but this is a Thunderbolt 4. This is a really fast speed cable. If you buy this cable from Apple, it's almost double the price as ours. So, we do this because we care about helping creators. We know that, not every creator is stocked with tons of money to afford the best gear. So we want to be able to provide it at a cost-effective way, and that's really the future. It's we're going to continue focusing on the creator, bringing products to market that help the creator in their workflow, and it's not going to. You'll see more and more from the memory cards, but you'll see more and more from these readers, portable storage products. Really, anything that we can do and we learn from the market is like, this is a real need and this solves a real workflow challenge. We're going to build it, and we're going to make it available at a price that's reasonable. And
Love it.
When you talk about price, right, and you look at some of our current products, we're not the cheapest, right? If you look at the Envoy Pro FX, the one we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the fastest, most reliable SSDs on the market, but it gets compared with other SSDs that may not be as reliable. They may not have the same level of waterproof, drop-proof sort of ratings, right? And so it's tough for us when we're compared against those things, because we're not quite the same, apple to apple comparison. We put ourselves to a much higher quality standard, and really want to make sure that we provide the best possible gear that people can get for the money.
And that's your job, right? Is to communicate that and the difference. You got your job cut out for you, Ian, because especially now with this USB-C port on the iPhone 15, which is, I hear a very popular device, and a lot of people will have them, which means they're going to be exposed to this whole world of all USB-C cables ain't the same, right? So going to buy your $9 USB-C cable off Temu or Amazon or something like that, your results and your drive speeds aren't gonna be what you expect or what's on the box. And people are probably going to blame the drive. Can't be the cable. It fits in the drive.
Completely.
It's got to be right. So,
but the thing is, then things like this that we build, these are going to become really relevant for an iPhone user. This is our Envoy Pro Mini. It's basically, it looks like one of those general like USB sticks, but what's nice about it is it's got USB-C on one end, and then you flip it around and you've got USB-A. So depending on what computer you have, you're like, oh, you just got the newest iPhone, but your computer's still got the older USBs, right? Now you have a way to quickly and easily take your footage from your phone, and this might be not necessarily for that high-end professional, but more of that average user, the prosumer, the kind of person in the middle that you mentioned. The
TikToker, the YouTube short creator, or just like I would put one of those in my bag just to like, okay, I'm going to edit, on my iPad and do it directly from that versus, and then transfer it accordingly. Yeah, it's exciting. I think you guys are going to blow up, especially because of the ubiquity. Well, I guess iPhones aren't ubiquitous, but well, now USB-C will be ubiquitous, I think, across all, if not most, if not all devices. So, and like I said, that education about cables, period, is fundamental, because I hit it. This is me just speaking from pain, buying cheap cables and wondering why my stuff wouldn't work. Why won't my camera work? I plugged it in, the cable's there, everything works. How come it's not working? Or speeds, testing different cables and seeing the read-write speeds from one cable to another. That's a whole nother matrix that people have to get their brain around. I think the easy way to remove that matrix is to just buy great cables. Don't buy cheap cables. Buy a cable that's more than what you need, that will just work in every situation. That way you don't have to worry about it. Don't try to buy a $10 cable to save a couple of bucks. And so that's your job. You get to tell everybody about that, right?
Yep, exactly. And that's where it's like, sites like Amazon are great for certain things, but you go on there and you try and search a cable that's compatible with my thing, and so many people that are selling cables out there, they just put all these keywords in there to get you to buy their cable. And then you get it, and it's not, it's compatible, but it's not quite as fast as it should be, or it's hotter, or something is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. Or
you don't find that out.
It fails the 10th time you use it. Like for me, I'm on an important trip where I had to do a presentation in front of, a couple hundred people. And of course, the presentation was on my external drive. Guess what happened?
Yep.
So Frederick was up there, doing magic tricks on stage instead of the presentation. So yeah. Interesting time, man. So cool. Thank you for your time today, Ian. I appreciate you and being so open about what the company's about, where you guys are going, and these products that you guys put out, like even this reader here and the drive that's on the back of this computer. This feels like it was carved out of a solid block of aluminum, right? It's substantial. It's not a piece of plastic like some of the other drives that we've talked about before. It's not a piece of plastic. This feels like it's here for the long haul, and it's going to support me. It feels like it should go with my Nikon, right? It feels solid. It goes with my MacBook Pro. It feels like it's in there. It's not kind of a temporary disposable add-on. So yeah, congratulations on that. Whoever designed it, the design of this, and just the robustness of it, and all the effort you guys put into testing. I think it's important for creators from all walks of the creative spectrum. So very cool. Very good, man. I'll link over to everything. Yeah, you're welcome. I'll link over to everything from the blog post for this. So folks, if you're watching this, just look in the show notes on thisweekinphoto.com. You'll find all the links that link to the stuff that Ian was talking about, or just head over to OWC.com and you'll find everything. And I think that's it. Any last words you wanna throw out there to the TWiP audience?
No, just go out there and create your other world. I can't wait to see what y'all create.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Ian Stone, OWC. Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Bye.
All right. Take care. All right. Hang on. Don't hang up yet. Finish. This is TWiP.